Nigeria loses ₹500 billion in revenues to uncleared imported vehicles and general cargoes. House of Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals decries ₹29 billion budget allocation to the sector for 2024 as grossly inadequate. And House Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs hosts budget defense, pledges intervention where necessary. Thanks for joining us on You and Your Reps. I am Victor, as welcome. Nigeria is losing about ₹500 billion in revenues to imported vehicles and general cargoes that are yet to be cleared in the fringes of the nation's port. Comptroller General of Customs Adewale Adeniyi revealed this before the House Committee on Appropriation that also engaged the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, on ways to grow the nation's revenue base.
Important to make that clear.
The Minister of Finance clarifies before lawmakers that there is no plan by the federal government to increase taxes. He says the plan to grow revenue is to increase tax returns from government-owned enterprises by improving the efficiency of tax administration.
The intention will be, where possible, to even reduce taxes, to allow people to have more money to invest in job creation and production. So I think it's very important to make that clear. It's critical that government expenditure is seen to be efficient, that waste is cut to a minimum.
The customs boss shares the optimism of lawmakers that a revenue target of ₦6 trillion can be achieved in 2024 from an initial projection of ₦5 trillion.
Are there any possibilities to increase your target in 2024, since you can be able to achieve up to 90% in 2023?
The goods in the ports that are not clear represent some kind of revenue that are sitting inside the ports for us. And I believe that if we review the environment, we'll be in a better position in 2024.
I would like to propose the formation of a tripartite committee comprising representatives from Central Bank of Nigeria, Federal Ministry of Finance, Nigeria Customs Service. The committee will serve as a platform for open and transparent dialogue on fiscal and monetary issues as it affects trade, ensuring thorough discussion and analysis of crucial decisions before their implementation.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on Housing and Habitat says it is ready to develop a radical housing agenda and legislation along with key players in the sector towards ensuring Nigerians have access to affordable housing.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals has described the ₹29 billion allocated to the sector for the next fiscal year as grossly inadequate. Now, this was when Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, appeared before the Committee for Budget Defense.
The solid minerals sector is considered crucial to Nigeria's quest for economic diversification and industrialization. But lawmakers regard the ₹29 billion proposed for the sector in 2024 as paltry and inadequate to drive growth in the sector.
Let me use this medium to call on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to rethink and reconsider the paltry sums that were allocated to this sector. We must be careful not to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. We are in a phase of energy transition, and solid minerals is the next frontier.
Reeling out the potentials of the ministry's 7-point agenda for the solid minerals sector, the minister affirms that ₹250 billion is needed for exploration of minerals.
We need to have a formal structure that the multinationals can deal with, like NNPC. However, the structure we are proposing is totally different from that of NNPC. In fact, we are learning from the experiences and the hiccups in the NNPC. A lot of these banditries, terrorisms, insecurities that we associate with this sector are actually sponsored by illegal miners. Now, these illegal miners are not your artisanal miners. These are heavy, powerful individuals in our country, and they are Nigerians.
At an interface with the House Committee on Population, the National Population Commission is seeking more funding for the conduct of the next national census.
We have to update the enumeration area maps. By the time we finish the enumeration area mapping, the building stock that we reported as 65 million may increase to something a lot higher, because Nigeria is a country where construction is going on daily, on a daily basis.
The commission says the president has the prerogative to announce the date for the next national census.
Elsewhere, the chairman of the House Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs, Kanismo Nwachukwu, has expressed satisfaction with the budget defense of agencies within the committee's purview, promising to intervene where necessary before passage.
Everything went well. All the MDS that are under our purview, we invited them and they came. The essence of such assignment or responsibility is just for us to have a direct engagement. They hear from us and we listen to them. At the course of doing the considerations, and we unravel some areas we needed to touch, and some areas that we say, no, this is not acceptable to us. We tried to balance it up, but the most important thing is they left here happily, because it was a wonderful deliberation. This committee is the best committee in this 10th National Assembly, because I don't even know. I should say that that is the good handwork of God. He brought people of like minds, people with robust ideas, people, good men and good women, chained them in this great committee, and bonded quickly, fraternized quickly, and begin to see things the same way. So we are good, and we are good to go. And we are working in tandem and in conformity with what this government, under a very intelligent leader, a very powerful Democrat, a core Democrat, in the name of His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu is talking about. So we are working in tandem and in conformity, and we will deliver.
You and Your Reps has been speaking with Chair of the House Committee on Rural Development, Marcus Onobun. He tells us of his committee's efforts to alleviate the sufferings of the masses.
Our mandate is to oversight, represent our rural dwellers across the country. We had just had our, budget interface with the Ministry or with the Department of Rural Development, and we were able to look through all the programs and projects implemented for 2023, and the plan for the 2024 budget. So we have seen all the project in terms of the capital projects, of course, and every other recurrent expenditure for the 2024. So the interface is on. We are doing all that we need to do within the limited space that we have to see that all rural dwellers in Nigeria, they feel the touch of government and governance across the country, because they are the most vulnerable people who live in the rural area. They are the most touched with this economic downturn that we face in Nigeria today. They are the most affected with the issue of fuel subsidy, removal. So what we are trying to do, in other words, is that we are trying as much as possible that these rural communities in the country, they are able to, get the touch and feel the impact of government. And this impact can come in so many ways. What are those things that these ministries, departments, and agencies are expected to do for our rural dwellers? First is to establish the basic amenities for our people. Access to good water, potable water supply. Access to farm lands so that they'll be able to, because most people in rural areas, they're into either small, medium, or large-scale farming. How are they able to bring out their products? Potable water for the people. Then as well as government incentives for these rural dwellers. So this is what we are looking at. I have done some assessments of the situation it is today. Like I said, I don't come from a township area. I come from a village. I took my time to go through the nooks and crannies of my constituency to campaign for votes. I know their sufferings. I know what they are yearning for. I have been a speaker at the state level. That gave me the opportunity to transverse every part of my state, every rural community in my state. Now that I'm in Abuja, I've also had the privilege of traveling to the northern part of the country, the southern part of the country, and also have the privilege of watching how our people have failed over the years. By my assessment, we have not really done well to make our people feel the impact. But I'm trained not to complain, but rather to see how we can profile solution. And the only way that can be done is for the National Assembly to give the required cooperation to the executive to make sure that things are done the right way. And such cooperation comes at this particular time when we are making budgetary provision. Is to sit down to look at how does this budget impact our rural dwellers? How does it affect the living standard of our people? In any case, these people have their own contribution to helping the GDP of our dear country. Because we are talking about the challenges in the economy today. Because as of today, as a reason of insecurity, we have not been able to guarantee food security in Nigeria. And once there is food, I'm sure that insecurity would have reduced drastically. So what that means is that we will now look at what the impact of the budget 2024 is going to do in the area of security, which will in turn guarantee food surplus in Nigeria. And the only way to do that is to see that the required incentives in terms of either monies as a way of grants or loans to our low or medium scale farmers, as well as giving the required fertilizers and all agricultural support to our rural dwellers. We are putting on our lenses to see how we can scrutinize the budget. Not just scrutinizing it, we are also profiling some suggestion to the executive as to areas where we can make meaningful impacts to these rural dwellers. So what that means is that our people will now begin to feel a bit better, than what it used to be. For instance, there are some kind of government grants that is coming to people, low-income earners. Interestingly, for those in the city, if you get a 25,000 naira, I'm sure it will not be able to fuel your car for 1 week. I'm very sure that's if you move a short distance. But I can tell you, if there are some rural dwellers, if they get a 25,000 naira grant from government, they will be able to clear a certain espace of land. So we are giving the cooperation to the federal ministry to see how we can profile our actual farmers, who in this case are mostly rural dwellers, and see how we can now put all of them together to benefit from government. Because the essence of government and governance is to give dividends of democracy to the people.
Now, oversight is at the core of functions of the Nigerian legislature. What does it entail and what are the dimensions? Chair of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Francis Waive, will tell us.
The duties of a legislator is first lawmaking and representation, and then the third being oversight. Oversight actually comes from lawmaking, and it comes from the Appropriation Act. When you pass the appropriation law and say this is government revenue and this is how it should be spent, you have a duty also to go back during the year and check and make sure that ministries, departments, and agencies of government are spending the money according to the law, according to the Appropriation Act, according to the specification. What you go for personnel is what is going there. What is going for capital is what is going there, and the law is being kept. That is what oversight is all about. But it's more than that. It's not just appropriation. Every other law, for instance, federal character, is a provision of the Constitution. It must be obeyed. So you want to see whether the ministries, agencies, and departments of government are obeying that law. So every law of the land must be obeyed. And when you make the law, you go to check and make sure that the law is being obeyed, is being followed strictly as it's made. And where you find variation, you have the powers to bring the violators to book. For instance, if you budgeted 3 million naira for something and somebody is spending 5 million naira, he's got to explain to the country where he got the other 2 million from and who gave him authority. For instance, if he says he got it in his internally generated revenue, does he have the authority to spend such money without being appropriated by government, by the legislature? So that's an issue. So these are the checks we carry out. And maybe it's one of the things that make our job unpopular. When you go to check somebody whether he has done the right thing, he will do everything to smear your name. And it's the unpopular part of the job of the legislator.
This week on You and Your Reps, the committee segment plays host to Rules and Business, one of the few committees without oversight functions, yet critical to the functioning of the Green Chamber.
Yes, the mandate of this committee that I chair in the 10th House of Representatives, which is the Committee on Rules and Business, is to see to the preparation of the order paper for every day's legislative business. That order paper states the order in which things to be done on that legislative day on the floor of the House. In a layman term, it's the agenda for the day, but much more than just the agenda, opening prayer and all that. You're now going to looking at the bills and motions that you are going to list for that day. And members would present their proposed bills first to Mr. Speaker for him to read through and look at the sense of direction, and then he ministers it to the Chairman Rules and Business. When it gets here, we look deeper into the matter to ensure that it's a matter of national importance. It's a matter that promotes peace, unity, and good governance in our country. It's not a divisive matter. It's not a controversial matter. And then we look at how it is prepared, that it is well written, the grammar, such that the image of the House is protected. And then we also look at the prayers particularly. What's this person asking for? So sometimes we've had to call honorable members to discuss their bills or motions and fine-tune them again. And so that's a tough work for us. As we speak, we currently have about 700 that we're reading through. I'm talking on motions alone and trying to cross the T's and dot the I's and look at the ones that are, and then every day you now have to select. The rules, the standing orders of the House, 9.3 gives the Committee on Rules and Business that privilege to list bills and motions that will be discussed on the floor on a particular day. My experience has been varied. I've enjoyed it because I've learned a lot. I've had the privilege of meeting Nigerians from all over the country. So I've met every kind of tribe, religion, character, and it's beautiful relating with them, I must say. And we are very intelligent, very humorous members in the 10th Assembly. The challenge is that sometimes they are pushful, and particularly the new ones, they want to be heard every day. And you have to find a way to manage that. And then the volume they shown out has been very challenging when you talk about trying to read through all of this. Good enough, we have got good secretarial staff who are very experienced and they do good assistance. I've got a good deputy, and members of the committee too have been willing to help, and that has been good. We are hoping that as committee work progresses, now we are doing budget defenses, so oversight will begin very shortly. I believe that as oversight begins, the emphasis on speaking at plenary would drop a little bit and help us. But so far so good, we've been doing well. We have had over 1,000 bills passed through first reading and less than 100 gone through second reading, because at the second reading level we scrutinize a lot. And then we have up to over 40 gone through third reading, and about 20 or so passed and gone their way to the Senate for concurrence. Within 6 months, I think we've done a good work. As you are going to the finishing stage of a bill, it becomes more tedious because you want to be more thorough. And we do not want a situation where a bill gets to Mr. President and it comes back for avoidable reasons. Very exciting new bills that are coming up. For instance, our country has been running on the 1956 Audit Act ordinance, but now the House of Representatives have passed a new Audit Act, brand new for our country. For the first time in the history of our country, the Senate would give us the concurrence, God willing, in the new year. So that's one of the blessings the 10th Assembly will be leaving for our country. But much more than that, we have found a group of people here who are very enthusiastic, very optimistic, very nationalistic. You just need to interact with our members to know that going forward, we're going to see things done differently. And Mr. Speaker has emphasized that our oversight going forward must be more effective, very thorough, and result-oriented.
And this is where we leave it on you and your reps. We thank you very much for watching. I am Victor Azul. Compliments of the season.